Hello and welcome back to my channel. Okay guys, is it just me, or do you frantically stress clean when you have guests coming to visit? Honestly, I find that it's the perfect incentive to finally get around to cleaning some of those areas in the home that you've just been putting off. In this week's video, join me as I spend one full week cleaning, decluttering, and preparing our house for guests. We've been in our new house for a little over 2 months, and I kept telling myself that I would get around to doing this cleaning and decluttering when I had more time. But the truth is, there's never enough time when you've got 3 little kiddos to take care of. So I wanted to make a realistic plan for cleaning and decluttering my house in 7 days that wouldn't take more than an hour and a half a day. As a busy mom with another little one on the way, I just don't have more time than that to commit to cleaning, nor do I have the energy. So I set my timer, put on some good music, and got moving. Follow along if you want some inspiration and ideas for what can be accomplished in your home in 1 week. Okay, the first place that I had to begin was our garage. The garage has just been collecting stuff for the past 2 months with no rhyme or reason to it. I've just been putting it in a pile and not worrying about it. I knew that it was going to take the bulk of the week, and so I actually committed 2 days to doing the garage. I wanted to first go through, get rid of stuff that we don't need, and then sort into categories everything that we needed to store, and then I was going to go search for some storage shelves on Facebook Marketplace. So for this first day, I just sorted everything into categories. Believe it or not, this was after an hour and a half of working. I got everything into categories. It looks like it's just piles, but in my mind, I knew what each pile, kind of what each category was. So this was like baby gear, like strollers, bikes, balance bikes, anything having to do with bikes. That was stuff that I do for an obstacle course. It's kind of a side job that I have. This was baby clothes, anything like that that needed to be stored that I was saving. Holiday items, holiday decor like the Christmas tree. And so I went through here and I just had a category for everything. That way I knew how many storage shelves I needed to get for the garage. Here are books that needed to be stored. This is a pile of stuff that I was going to sell or give away, and these were boxes to be recycled. Then I got to sweeping the garage. I didn't do a super thorough sweep, but just got the main areas and then tried to vacuum in between the cracks just to make it look a little nicer. I was able to find these wonderful storage shelves on Facebook Marketplace. The person only wanted $25 for the tall shelf and $20 for the 2 shorter shelves, which was a great deal because they were over $100 each on Amazon, brand new. So I actually did this work over the weekend, so it was a couple days later because that's when I got the chance to go pick them up. My boys helped me clean off the shelves, dry them, and set them up before we moved them into the garage. I don't know if you're this way, but I love giving my boys the opportunity to help me any chance that they get, especially if they're enthusiastic and really want to help me. I love giving them the opportunity to do things that they're able to do, like dry these shelving units. We then moved the shelving units into the garage and set them up. I kind of already knew, and I had planned out ahead of time how I wanted to, like where I wanted to put them in the garage and the spacing that I had. So I had already planned that out in my head and knew what I was going to put on each shelf. So I began by moving the books onto the shelf. And then I moved all of the toys. So up here, I like to do toy rotation with my boys. So I had a couple shelves dedicated to their toys. And then I put away any seasonal decor like Christmas or Easter, anything like that. I put all of those up here on this shelf. And here it is, guys. After 2 days dedicated and set apart for the garage, it is finally cleaned and decluttered. Like I said, this was the biggest job in the house and needed the most time and most work. But I got these storage shelves up. I have my categories for storing things. I'll probably end up buying another one later because there's definitely more stuff that I would like to store in the garage, but this will do for now. Have everything set up in its categories, and then as time and money permit, I can buy different nicer storage bins to put these items in, but I at least got them sorted and organized on these shelves. Over here we have the strollers and that wagon. So anything like that, any sort of stroller gear goes over there. Their little floaties for summertime go up there, although they're a little big for them now, but John and the little baby can go in those when she's born. And so over here, like I said, these are items that are going to eventually go. I'm either getting rid of them or selling them, so I just kept them over on that side of the garage for now. I cannot tell you how great it felt to pull my van into the garage and be able to get out of it without literally climbing over things. It was so wonderful. Alright, the next room on my list was the laundry room. Although very small, this room was so jam-packed with things and was just such an eyesore, and I hated walking through it because I just hated looking at everything. So it was so nice to finally go through, declutter, and try to organize as best as I could everything that was just kind of thrown on top and didn't really have a place. So I began by just taking everything off the top of the washer and dryer, off of the shelves, and once again sorting it into its categories so I knew where it belonged, and then I could clean the shelves and re-put all the items back on, organized into their categories. This wall decor was broken. It had originally gone in my son's bedroom, and it had just been sitting there broken for so long. So I figured there's no time like the present to just stop and fix it. So I took advantage, I put some wood glue on it, and I went ahead and fixed it so that I could actually hang it up and it wouldn't just be sitting there broken for months and months and months. Alright, so here are the shelves wiped down and organized into their little categories. I've got paper towels, gardening gear, tools, laundry detergent and supplies, cleaning supplies, my mini vacuum, my electric drill. So later I'll do some better organizing, maybe purchase some shelving units to put up there, but this will do for now. I then moved our laundry baskets, did a quick sweep of the floor, vacuumed up the dirt. I don't know about you, but I often prefer the mini vacuum to the dustpan. I just feel like it picks up the dirt better. I then went over the floor with a mop, and I went down with a vinegar solution and actually cleaned the corners and the baseboards. Then I swept the main area and vacuumed up the dirt, and then went over that with a mop as well. And that's it. The laundry room is done, and it felt so great to be able to walk through this room and to not have everything jumping out at me visually and to be so jam-packed with things. And I'm definitely working on keeping this room clutter-free and organized as best as I can. These baskets here are kind of some catch-all baskets for anything that needs to be returned to the store or anything that I'm decluttering and I need to get rid of. I thought these baskets would be great for keeping it there. Alright, the next room to clean was the guest room / nursery / storage room. This room was kind of just a place where we put stuff that needed to be sorted. When we first moved into the house, you can see this bassinet that I'm putting away here. My baby was sleeping in the room with us, and so he just recently got big enough that he needed to be moved into a larger crib, and so we moved him into this room, and so now really is the time to get this room cleaned up and organized. Eventually I want to turn it into a guest room / nursery, and hopefully I'll have a video later on where I can document that whole process. But for now, we needed to just go through, sort through everything. I have all the baby clothes here that I'm actually going to be going through and deciding which ones I want to get rid of and which ones I want to keep. And so that was the first step, was just going through all those clothes. I have a lot of baby boy clothes, and now that our next one is a girl, I am only going to be saving the baby clothes like these little hats from their hospital. I definitely want to keep that. This is a little baby Grogu outfit that I knitted for my firstborn son when he was born. So things like that, keepsakes like that, or any clothes that are in really good condition, I'll save, and then the rest of them I am going to be donating. Here I'm just folding the clothes that I'm going to be keeping that my baby is currently wearing, and they're all folded and stored away in that middle drawer there. And then I restocked his diaper drawer here. And now I'm going to be going through and doing a little sorting of his toys, kind of doing a toy rotation with the baby toys. Of course, as you can see here, everything that I try to put away, he wants to take out and play with. So did that, and then I went through, I vacuumed the floor, vacuumed the rug, and then this was all that I had a chance to get to this evening. As you can see there, my baby needed to sleep, and so it was time to be done for the evening, and I'll come back the next morning to finish what I didn't get to today. So the next morning I came back in, and as you can see, I didn't really like where I ended up putting that dresser, so I moved it against the other wall, kind of rearranged some of the furniture. I did just a quick going through of the closet. Later I'm going to go in and actually organize and declutter this closet a little bit better, but I just wanted to do a quick go through to make sure that any major things were organized and sorted. And then this is it. I have a few wall decor items that I want to put up later. But this is the room for now, cleaned, organized, sorted, and ready to go. The next room to clean was my two older boys' bedroom. This bedroom wasn't too hard to clean because I had already gone through and decorated it, hung up all the wall decor items. It just gets really messy because they're always playing with their toys and their beds are unmade. So I really was mostly just putting their toys away, organizing everything. I wanted to show these really cool bins that I got from Target. I believe they were $3 each. They're great because unlike the wicker ones or the wooden ones, they don't break easily, and I use them as kind of catch-all baskets for their toy vehicles or train set. I then went through, kind of reorganized their bookshelf. Of course, with boys, you're always going to have something broken, so they broke one of their dresser drawers earlier that day, and so I went through later and I fixed it. But for now, I'm just going through their laundry, putting it back into their drawers, or putting it in the hamper if it's dirty laundry. I went through and I swept the closet and swept the main areas in the bedroom. Then I went through and I took all of their bedding. I made sure to do a wash of all of their bedding because it definitely needed it. I then took a vinegar cleaning solution and did a quick wipe down of each of their mattresses, followed by a quick sweeping behind each of their beds. Their rug had a few stains on it, so I took some soapy water and I scrubbed those stains out next. And that's it. The boys' room was finished. Everything was put in place. Of course, their bedding was still being dried, and so I just made the beds without the bedding. But their room was pretty easy overall, and I was happy with how it turned out. I then made my way over to the main bathroom and began by just clearing the countertops of any clutter. So if it was items that needed to go under the sink, I just put them under there, or if they needed to be taken out of the bathroom completely. I then soaked any of the areas that needed to be soaking, like the bathtub or the toilet. I like to soak those and let those sit for a little while before I actually clean off the cleaning solution. I then went with my vinegar cleaning solution and did the countertops and the mirrors. A really great cleaning tip I heard years ago was that you always clean from top to bottom, so I try to follow that in my cleaning method. I didn't get the video of it, but I started with the mirrors and then worked my way down from there, cleaning from top to bottom. So here I'm cleaning the toilet from top to bottom and then getting the inside of it, kind of the dirtier parts I save for last. Of course, finishing off with scrubbing the inside of the toilet bowl. I then made my way over to the bathtub. I didn't catch it on video, but I started with the top of the shower and cleaned that area, and here I am cleaning the bottom part. And then I like to use our removable shower head to spray the inside and just get all of the soap and everything, all of the water down the drain a little easier. And then as always, I finished up by sweeping the floor, vacuuming up the dirt, and mopping. And that was it. The bathroom is done. I don't know about you, but I love a clean bathroom. It's so great. Okay, we're about halfway through the week here, and it was time to move into the master bedroom. I began by opening up the curtains to allow some sunlight into the room, and then I went through all of our covers and sheets and washed all of them. Now it was time to move on to this very cluttery, messy desk full of papers. Paperwork always gets away from me, and I need to be better about staying clutter-free with all of my papers. But I went through, filed any that needed to be filed, recycled any that needed to be gotten rid of, and overall just made this desk space clear. I then went on to the books. Books were a little challenging because we don't necessarily have all of the bookshelves that we want for all of our books, so some of them do have to be stored away in the garage for now. So I actually worked with my husband on this one because most of these are his books, trying to figure out which ones we want to keep out in the house and which ones we can put away in storage or we can donate. After that, I moved on to our dresser, which is also very full of clutter. As you can see, there was just a lot of clutter in the house overall, so it felt so good to finally go through all of this, sort through it, get rid of it, store it away, figure out what to do with it. I had an item that needed to be hung up on my wall, and so I finally got around to doing that and hung this little decorative item up. I had been wanting to put these decorative vases and items up in my room, so I got my husband to help me because he is much taller than me, and I finally got these items put up. Then moved on to dusting any of the surface areas in my room. Then I went into my closet, and mostly here I just wanted to sort any of our shoes that were out or any extra boxes, kind of just sort through the items in there. It didn't take a whole lot of time to go through the closet space. Moving on to the master bathroom, I started by washing our towels and our floor mats. And then I went through, cleared the counter area of anything that was on top of it, and sprayed the mirror and the counter with the vinegar solution, cleaning from top to bottom. I like to also clean any of our soap dispensers because if you notice, those get really dirty and it's easy to overlook those, but those are a great thing to clean. I then went into our shower, cleared all the toiletries out, sprayed that with my heavy-duty cleaner, and scrubbed it from top to bottom. As I said before, I always love using my detachable shower head to rinse the shower out. Then I moved on to the toilet. Same thing, sprayed it, let it soak, cleaned it from top to bottom, of course finishing with cleaning the toilet bowl. The next morning, I went back into the room and just did a few little things that I didn't get to finish the day before. So I started by making the bed. I then did a general sweeping of the room. I didn't really move any of the major pieces of furniture, just my file cabinet and the plant there. And then I vacuumed the rug. I didn't move anything under the bed. I just got the outer parts of the rug. And then I finished off by mopping the floors. And this is the master bedroom, all finished. The clutter is gone. The counters are clear. The space is clean, and it felt so good to be in that room that had been cluttery and messy for so long. I have my vases and my decorations up above there. They're so pretty to look at. So I was so happy with how this room looked and felt now that it was all cleaned and clutter-free. Okay guys, I'm not gonna lie, for the final day of cleaning, I worked a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but I wanted to get everything done that day so that the very next day I could just rest before our guests came to visit. So I began by having my boys help me clean up this is our reading / music / homeschool area, and it often gets very messy with toys, which is wonderful and great, and my boys have gotten to be pretty good about picking up their toys. So I definitely had them help me pick up all of their books and toys, and then we went through and did a quick cleaning of the room. You can see my baby there. As we clean up the books, he just takes them off the bookshelf. I began by dusting any of the surfaces. I like to spray my dusting cleaner onto the rag instead of directly onto the surface. That way it doesn't get too greasy on the surface. I moved on to our piano, which is so lovely to look at. I'm so happy to have it. Dusted this. Then I moved on to sweeping the floor. getting underneath the furniture but not moving any of the major pieces of furniture. Then I vacuumed the rugs in the room. There was this big one and then a smaller one that's by the front door. And then I mopped the entire room. And that was it for our reading music room. This area stays pretty clean. It does get a lot of clutter because of the toys, but other than that, it tends to stay pretty clean. So that was a pretty quick job. The final rooms to clean were the kitchen and family rooms. These two are connected, and so this gets pretty messy, as you can imagine. We're in the kitchen a lot. I'm cooking all the time, so I'm cooking, cleaning, making messes. We're at the table, a lot going on in this room. And so I began by clearing the counters and the kitchen table of any items, putting them away or throwing them away if they needed to be thrown away. And then I unloaded the dishwasher. That's, of course, a daily job that needs to be done. And then I loaded it up with any of the dirty dishes. I tried to avoid any super deep cleaning this week, but the kitchen sink really needed it, and so I did do some deep cleaning here. I sprayed the inside of the sink with this bleach solution because it gets stained by the dirty dishes that go in there, and so I sprayed that in there, let it soak, and then I scrubbed behind the kitchen sink because that gets dirt and water back there, and I want to make sure that stays really clean. And so I did take some time to do some deep cleaning here at our kitchen sink. There were a couple stains on our countertop, so I put some baking soda on that, let it soak, and then I scrubbed that off to get those stains off. I loved my gas stove at our apartment, but oh my goodness, this stove is so easy to clean. I gotta say, even though I miss the gas stove, I love having this electric stove just because of how easy it is to clean it. I then moved on to cleaning our countertops and sweeping the floor. Now I have a question for you. Do you put your chairs up like this when you sweep and mop? I stopped doing it for so long, and then I remembered that my mom used to do it when I was younger, and it's such a good idea, so I've started doing it again, putting the chairs upside down on the kitchen table when I sweep and mop the floors. Now I did get down on my hands and knees for part of this kitchen floor because it does get a lot of food on it, especially where my baby sits, and so I did get down there and scrub with some soapy water, and then I went over it with my mop with the wood cleaning solution to finish it up. Moving on to the final room, the family room, I began by cleaning off the surfaces. I did want to show you this vase that I had picked up earlier that day from Goodwill. I'm not a huge fan of the floral arrangement, but I love the vase, so I purchased it. It was only $7, and I thought later on I can get a floral arrangement that I really like to put in it. I then wiped down the other areas like the TV, the coffee table, and the side tables. I like to use my little handheld vacuum to vacuum in the little crevices of the couch and get any dirt or debris that gets down in there. And then I finished by vacuuming this rug, and I did move a couple of things like the coffee table to get underneath there. Of course, I had to finish up this week's cleaning by getting out my reed diffuser so that the house smelled nice, and the next day I had to move it because my boys knocked it over and spilled some of it, but that's life with toddlers. And there it is, guys. The kitchen and family room is all clean. I apologize for the lighting. This was in the evening. Like I said, I did a little bit more work that day so that I could have the next day off to rest. But this is it. The kitchen, the family room, all cleaned up, and this is it for the house cleaning for the entire week. So I felt so good finally getting this done. There were so many areas that were full of clutter for months, and it was so nice to finally have them clutter free. And now my goal is to keep it that way and to enjoy a house that's clean and clutter free. I hope this video gave you inspiration. I hope if you're a busy mom or you're just a busy woman and need some inspiration and some ideas for cleaning your home, I hope this video helped, and I hope you like it. Subscribe and keep watching for future videos. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.